Tim! Oh, Tim! Oh, dear, dear, dear Tim, I think I'm turning Japanese. Doyle! Oh, did you think I wouldn't see this, Timmy boy? Or rather, let the New Yorker in me come out. Yo, Timmy! Did you really think I wouldn't see this, Timmy? Do you think I'm blind, Timmy? Ah, that felt good. So, hello everyone. This is Gene for hopefully the last time. I don't think, well, it's been a while since I've made like 4 or 5 videos in a day. I don't usually do that, but like I said, this whole Jae Lee situation has got me fired up. So, it's late and I'm going to try to keep this brief, at least as brief as I can keep anything. So, Tim Doyle has now put up his own little response to Tom King's public apology to Jae Lee for trying to ruin his career. And I made a video on that earlier in the day, or earlier in the early evening, late afternoon, whatever it is, right? End of the workday. So, this is Tim's own response. It reads, now Jae Lee should apologize for working with a hate group. In the center is Tom, at least part of Tom King's public statement. And then we have at the bottom here a follow-up tweet from Mr. I'm Turning Japanese. It says, let me say I'm a massive fan of Jae's work. Have been since he took over for Byrne on Namor. I don't know if it means John Byrne, or I don't follow Namor, so I don't know who's on the art for that. The only Byrne I know of is John Byrne, and I thought John was pretty much retired. But anyhow, it says here, I was willing to believe that Jae just didn't know what a vile crap, let's say, EVS had become over the last decade. But now that he knows, he can't act like he didn't do something wrong. First of all, Timmy, you don't know what the personal relationship between Jae and Ethan is. You don't know if they've kept in touch over the past decade. So you have no idea what Jae knows about Ethan's personal life and any changes that he has encountered or gone through over the past 10 years. You don't know that. You're making a guess into another man's mind. All you know is that they have a positive enough working relationship to do business, that Ethan hired him, he did a good job, Ethan and the fans are happy. That's all you know. You don't know anything about their personal relationship. Now we can assume, given Ethan's statement, that perhaps they're on at least cordial terms personally, but again, we don't know because Ethan's statement didn't mention anything about their personal relationship. He just, I wouldn't say apologized, he just thanked Jae Lee for his work and said that he was sorry that he got pulled into all this drama. It was a very professional statement, so you know nothing of their personal history. None of these tweets that you have put out, or Tom put out, or that Richard Pace put out have said anything negative or proven anything negative about Ethan or Comicsgate. The only people who believe Ethan and Comicsgate are worse than Satan himself are people like you, Tim, and your supporters. Right? People who want to hold Jae Lee accountable for doing business with people who will pay him. So, number one. Number two, if we're going to talk about apologies, then guess what? Tom King needs to apologize for working for the CIA, for working for the government, right? Working for the intelligence agency of the government, the intelligence arm of the government, and doing God knows what. Only God and the government and Tom know what he did and what he allowed to be done, right, during his tenure there. Right, so he needs to apologize for that. He needs to apologize for working for the government, first of all. So if anybody's going to apologize for anything, it's Tom King. Right, and Tom has at least apologized for trying to ruin Jae's career, although some say it's not much of an apology, given that he's mainly apologizing for not contacting Jae personally. Right? And I agree with with that assessment that Tom's apology, he's apologizing for the fact that he didn't try to cancel him in private, as opposed to not trying to cancel him at all, right? Even if this hadn't have gone out, even if Tom hadn't had posted it, right, made a public statement about contacting DC, it doesn't change the fact that he contacted DC to express his deep disappointment over the fact that Jae Lee did a cover with Ethan and Comicsgate. Now, I will give Tom this much. He actually did take down the tweets. I went back to one of my videos where I had linked the actual tweet. The link doesn't work. So I will give Tom King that much. He actually did keep his word, and he did actually take the tweets down. It's kind of a moot point given that they were up for a few days, right? Up for a few days, and everybody's been talking about it. There's been screen caps, there's been videos, so it's still floating out there. And as Neon and Geeky from Clownfish TV have said, the damage has already been done, and we have seen that from Jae Lee's Instagram post where he mentions everybody calling him, asking him questions. So we know that it did do some damage to his professional reputation. All the apologies in the world do not make up for that. We want to talk about apologies. Okay then, Tim, you need to apologize. You need to apologize, A, for participating in this dog pile, right, on, Jae Lee. You need to apologize for participating in this. You need to apologize for the work you've done, right, working for DC and Marvel. You know, DC that happens to be, that at least seems to be on its face, right? All these sexual predators being there for years and then getting fired years after the fact. Eddie Berganza, Eric Esquivel. And while Mark Waid is not a sexual abuser to anyone's knowledge, he is a madman, right? So you're not holding DC accountable. You're not holding DC accountable, Tim, for hiring Jae Lee in the first place if he was such a big, bad, scary man dealing with big, bad, scary people. You're not holding DC accountable. You're not holding DC accountable for Tom King's actions, which they are accountable for because he works for them. Even if he's technically not an employee because he's a contracted worker talent, like freelance thing, still, he has a contract with them, right? So he is in some way, if not legally their employee, they are still somewhat responsible for him. For as long as he's working for them, he represents them, right? So you're not holding DC responsible. Nor are you holding, I already said that about Jae Lee, but my point is that you're not holding DC responsible for anything, for Tom's actions or Jae Lee's actions. You're not holding yourself accountable. You're certainly not holding Richard Pace accountable for his statements. And I think he's also done work with Marvel and DC. Oh, that's right. Let's not forget, Tim, that you said in a tweet that I do not give a bleep about his dead dog. So you're not going to apologize, and you owe an apology to Jae Lee to speak so disrespectfully of his dog and to question his motives as to why he's mentioning the fact that his dog that passed away two weeks ago, why he's bringing this up, why he's mentioning it, right? So you have to apologize for that, and you haven't yet, and I highly doubt you will because you're a coward, Tim Doyle. You haven't apologized for cultural appropriation, taking on a Japanese name that is not your own, right? So you want to talk about apologies, guess what? You haven't apologized either. Guess what? Jae Lee has nothing to apologize for, Tim. Even if Jae Lee were blatantly, overtly, aggressively, flamboyantly Comicsgate, it's not a hate group, it's not a crime, it's not a den of criminals, right? No one's been arrested or going to jail. Guess what? He can associate with whomever he chooses. Even if he were Comicsgate, which he's not, but even if he were, Jae Lee did nothing wrong. He did nothing wrong. Associating with Comicsgate is not a crime. Being hired by someone in Comicsgate is not a crime. Doing covers with Comicsgate is not a crime. I know that to you, Tim, it's a crime because you are the one in the actual hate group, Tim, that cancels creators and cancels publishing houses like Dynamite because you are bullies and you can't stand that someone will not bow and kowtow to you. You can't stand that someone would actually do business outside of the industry with your hated mortal enemy that you hate for absolutely no valid reason at all. See, you expect Jae Lee to be like Gail Simone, who's willing to turn her back on a personal friend, all because he's the head of Dynamite, and Dynamite did business with Comicsgate. And then when Dynamite got the business, right, when they got pushback and feedback, they caved because they don't have a spine. Right, so you're expecting Jay to be like Gail and like others, like you, who if you were criticized, you would bow down because you have no spine, you have no honor, you have no integrity, Tim. For a man who borrows a last name from a Japanese person, from a culture that is so honor-based and honor-bound, right, you'd make a terrible Japanese person if you were actually Japanese. But anyway, my point in all of this, Tim, is that you have a lot to apologize for, and you won't. Ramon Villalobos has a lot to apologize for, and he won't. Richard Pace has a lot to apologize for, and he won't. DC has a lot to apologize for, and they won't. Right? Tom King at least issued one apology, but he has many, many, many more that he should be giving out. Like he should be retracting his statements about Comicsgate being a hate group, because it's not. Because that's going to impact the careers of other individual people in Comicsgate, such as Ethan and Richard and what's his name, John Malin and Kelsey Shannon and many others. But you're not going to, right? The comic book industry and Tom King are not going to renounce calling Comicsgate a hate group. Not until you get sued, at least. Oh, that's right. Mark Waid's getting sued. You should keep that in mind, Tim. There are legal consequences to these type of actions, Tim. Okay? So, but as I was saying, Tom King is not going to apologize for referring to people he does not personally know as a hate group, right? So yeah, there's a lot of apologies that have to go around in this one. But they're not from Ethan Van Sciver, they're not from Comicsgate, and they're not from Jae Lee. If anybody's hands are clean, if anybody is without sin in this situation, it is Jae Lee. He did nothing wrong. He did his job. He was paid for it. It was well received. And then Tom King, trying to be a big man, because in truth he's a little man, a little punk, spineless wimp of a man, he decided he was going to try to cancel an artistic legend in the business because he did business with somebody that the mainstream hates. Because the mainstream, sadly, is full of Toms and Tims and Richards and Gales. They're full of people who are bullies, who can talk big but who can't back it up, who have no spine, who have no heart, who have no integrity, who have no honor, and who have no business writing superheroes. Anyway, that's the video. I pray that's the video. I want this to be the last video. I'm tired now. But anyway, let me know what you all think, and I'll see you in the next one. Have a good night. Bye.